Thanks for joining us for another episode of Already Won, a Sports Friends podcast. Each week, Coach Ben and Coach Kyle share their insights, interview special guests, present teachable moments, and offer some extra words of wisdom. The victory is ours, because we've already won.
Welcome to Already Won, a Sports Friends podcast. Woo-hoo! As always, I'm your host, Ben Wildman, aka the Wildcat, with Kyle Apps, the Mad Dog. Kyle, how are you doing?
I'm feeling good. Summer's coming. I know it. I feel it. It's going to warm up. The sun's going to be out longer. I'm feeling top.
Feeling good. And you must be feeling good because remember, we've already won because God has given us the victory. So no matter what you do not quit. And remember that this podcast shares how a Christian can use sports as a great tool in this victory. No matter if you're a player, a coach, or a fan, we hope to bring you relevant guests with teachable moments and some weekly wisdom. And today we've got another great guest. So don't forget to tell your friends, Kyle, that we already won.
Tell your friends, tell your friends' friends, tell your friends' parents, your parents' friends, the friends of all of the friends. Just tell them.
We already won. Don't forget to hashtag it as well. We already won. Kyle, we love sport. And on this podcast, we're covering different sports. And I'm encouraging listeners, maybe you've got one or two sports that you love, but we're going to try and introduce you to different sports. And last week, we certainly did that, maybe if you're American. This week, we're going to go through something that I think our American listeners will understand a lot more, right? What sport we're going to talk about today?
Well, officially, it's softball, fast-pitch softball, but it kind of falls in the category of baseball, which doesn't fall under the category of cricket.
Okay, so already I'm as an Englishman is saying softball, baseball, is there a difference? We need to ask our guests that for a start to clarify. I'm going to literally be like the dumb Englishman in this because I'm like coming from a place of I've played it like once. I think in school we do like rounders, which is probably nothing like it. But I was told a bit of teaching, like coaching. This is good coaching. Plant your back foot, and I was left-handed. And I planted it and I connected, and it went so much further when I hit it. So that was some good coaching. But I think I need a lot more coaching on my game, to be fair. So yeah. But anyway, what you looking funny there? What are you thinking?
I'm trying to picture you planting your left foot. You're right-handed.
No, I'm left-handed. So I've got my right foot in front, left foot behind, my back foot. Weights on the back foot, and then I transfer it. And then that little coaching point, I tell you, I was like connected with it, and I wouldn't say home run, but it was much better than my other feeble shots. So yeah, with coaching like that, hopefully our guest this week can help us with that. And and most importantly, give us an insight on how he combines his faith in the world of sport.
We always say this, maybe not you and I, but I do for sure, is that I can tell a person's life, their faith, their testimony by the way they play sports, right? So if someone's trash talking or cussing a little bit too much and whatever, you can tell like what kind of person they are in the real world.
Yeah. I always say sport reveals character, like what's on the inside, like sport really reveals character. There's a bit of early Wildman's weekly wisdom. Yeah, no, I've played sport with like
too early.
Yeah, it's too early. It's a teaser. It's a little teaser. It's a little bit, whetting the appetite for the main course later. It's a little starter. But I've played with like pastors playing sport, and I've seen them get really angry. And there's a famous story I would probably would share maybe just quickly, but I played with a Malawian pastor once, and I asked one of our colleagues, I said, "Who's this pastor?" And he said, "He's the top of the denomination." Anyway, he went crazy in the game. He was shouting at everyone and everything. Anyway, I came back a year later, and he'd been dismissed because he had disciplinary for anger issues. And you think, well, we saw that on the sports field, and then it's no surprise that really came out a little bit. So what you're saying there, Kyle, is true. We're looking forward today then. Who have we got on the podcast, Cal? Do you want to introduce our special guest? Because I'm not sure about this sport, but I am sure about bringing sports ministry. So therefore, who have we got today?
And we do have Steve on the line. He's in the studio. Steve Czech, the assistant coach at Carroll University women's softball. Welcome to the Already Won podcast. Steve has worked for many years as coach. He's been with Carroll University for 3 years. In addition to his duties at Carroll, he served at, or before his duties at Carroll, he served at varsity head coach at Muskego High School. Since 2013, he was there. Muskego was the varsity head coach. Currently, that they boasted the largest high school softball program in the state, having 50 to 60 athletes, 8 total coaches, 4 teams over 6 years. Led the team to 104-33 record. That's pretty good. Czech was also on the coaching staff of the Czech Republic. I think they thought maybe that was your official team, the Czech Republic. So Steve Czech, get that name. Anyways, Czech Republic Women's National Fastpitch. They're ranked 3rd in Europe, I believe, and 9th globally. And today, Steve's here to share how his coaching, playing, and his faith all interconnect. Welcome, Steve, to the Already Won podcast.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
Steve, I love the hat firstly. So the hat, just for the video viewers, what is the hat then? What is it? It's got CR on it. What does that stand for?
Yes, that is very proudly the Czech Republic hat that I'm wearing this morning. I had to dust it off and featuring it live this morning for you.
Love that. I love it. I love how your name is.
From the summer.
That's awesome. I mean, your name's awesome. I mean, you've coached with Czech. It's just incredible. You've coached at the top level, and you've coached youth, you've coached students. We're looking forward to diving into that. But before we do, we're asking some guests our title Already Won. As a Christian sports coach, what does that mean to you? That phrase Already Won. You can go anywhere with it. What does that mean to you?
Ooh, great question. That leads me to the whole. I mean, I'm all about the relationships piece of coaching, and I know as the title states, I know that the battle's already won, and I know that all I have to do is create the connections that lead to different conversations, or it's different all across the board. The international piece where I'm there for 8 weeks and then I'm gone and I never see some of these kids again, versus the college landscape and the high school where I came from, where I get to pour into these kids almost over the course of a year or 4 years of their college career, and guide them to Jesus.
So Steve, I know you from basketball at Elmbrook.
Yeah.
So I know you're currently living in Wisconsin. Where did you grow up, and what's your kind of timeline?
What's my story? Yeah, I grew up in northern Wisconsin, where I claim to have gotten my passion for softball. The men's Fastpitch game was very, very big growing up. For my dad and uncles and basically a generation in front of me. There's still a piece of that remaining in the northern Wisconsin and Wisconsin landscape. But basically transitioned to primarily, if you think of Fastpitch softball, you think of the women's game and how that's taken off in the Women's College World Series and ESPN and everything. And lately, in the last 5-10 years, it's been a big thing. But northern Wisconsin, grew up there. The University, Wisconsin Eau Claire is where I went to college and got my first high school coaching gig. And then when I graduated college, went into the workforce in the Muskego School District down near the Milwaukee area. And have been here. This is year number 12, I think, which is crazy to even say that number out loud. But been here 12 years, and little high school, little college, and would love to continue this for the rest of my life for sure.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. And I see you've also been to the University of Aberdeen. Is that in Scotland, or is that right?
That is absolutely in Scotland. My girlfriend, now wife at the time, and I got to study abroad at the University of Aberdeen in our junior year of college. A study abroad opportunity that we got. I had no idea what I was getting myself into at the time, but going abroad and going international for my first time basically ever in my life was unbelievable. And now my dog is named Aberdeen, and we will forever remember our time there.
That's brilliant. You got to say it like Aberdeen, though, whenever you address your dog. Aberdeen.
Yes, that's good.
Yeah, I bet the Scots are passionate up in Aberdeen. So yeah, it's I was born like in the most northern city in England, so on the border of Scotland, and I'm actually 1/16 Scottish, so I've got a bit of Scottish in it. So so I love that. But that's great. But how many years have you been coaching then for altogether? Then what kind of you mentioned that where you are now, but altogether, how long have you been coaching?
I think it's it's about 15 years I've been in the coaching world. My timeline, I guess, I broke my wrist. I was playing ultimate frisbee at the university in Eau Claire and broke my wrist, which kind of took me out of that landscape and got me right into the coaching landscape. And I got my first full-time job in a school district, which I thought was an opportunity I would only have later down the line. So those two things kind of coming together at the same time, and got a softball coaching gig as a JV coach right away when I got hired in Muskego, and it's all history from there. So I couldn't have asked for it to be any better.
Fantastic. So for listeners, we're in 90 different countries in sports, friends. Some of our staff listen to this podcast. Some different listeners listen in the UK. We are really interested around the explanation around softball. So for us Brits and for those around the world, can you explain the difference between softball and baseball? Because I'm so confused. Is it a softball? Because I've played it pretty hard, the ball. So let's go with that. Softball, baseball. Just what's the difference?
What's the difference? So I grew up playing softball and baseball, so I'm very familiar with the difference. I'm now an umpire for both of the two. Both of them are very similar, but this is a perfect time for this picture to pop up here. The softball game pitched underhand. The ball is a little bigger, but the same density, and you wouldn't want to get hit by either a softball or a baseball. There's nothing soft about the game of softball. The game is quicker than softball. The time between pitches and the base pads are about 1/3 closer than baseball in the softball game. So everything is very quick, and you don't have time to, I don't know, in a game of baseball, you see a shortstop take a nice easy grounder and pat his glove a couple times and make the throw to first to get the out and beat the runner by a couple feet. Softball, you have to be on top of things. You get one chance and get that ball out of your glove, otherwise she's going to beat you to first base. So it's a very quick game and keeps you on your toes. I love playing, coaching, umpiring it all for that reason. But if you think about the differences in the game, the quickness and the speed of the game is the biggest difference.
Ben, you would not be able to hit in your cricket intelligence. You would not be able to hit a fast pitch softball. I play slow pitch softball, and I can't. I wouldn't even step in the batter's box against some of these ladies who are tossing these balls in. It's incredible how fast they're coming in.
What sort of speed are we talking, like in terms of
That's a great question. So the mound is at 43 feet in comparison to 60 foot 6 inches. So if you equate the two together, some of the best pitchers in the game are well over 100 miles an hour for pitching at the top of both baseball and softball.
Wow. I love your quote before. There's nothing soft about softball. But Kyle, the softball's popular in the US, right? Do you want to give us a little bit of, information around that, details around it's popular, right? So people around the world listening, watching, tell us a little bit about the popularity in the US.
Softball. So there's traditionally, if you hear softball, I mean, it's either the women's fast pitch or it's men's bar league or church league or something like that, and that's where most people equate it with. It's a loft ball. It goes a higher arc. It's a similar. I think it's the same ball, similar bats. but it's you get different types of people. It's more of a time to get together. A lot of people choose it to do the drinking, which is hilarious. I don't know how you can drink and play sports at the same time, but the church league is a whole different thing, or the rec league. So it's still
they don't
fun
do the
time.
drinking in the church league.
Maybe they do. I don't know what goes on the other side benches, but
Right.
But yeah, so it's a recreational thing typically. But when you see women's fast pitch, when it comes up on television, or you see the finals, it's a great entertainment. It's as Steve said, it's fast paced, thus in the name. But yeah.
And baseball in terms of America, I know we're going to talk about softball now, but baseball where does it rank in American sports? So you've obviously got basketball and American football. Would baseball be 3 or 4 or?
I think what you're saying right now is you're trying to create a battle here, like you did last week with the cricket, Ben. I defended baseball to the core. I put down cricket quite a bit. I don't know any cricket. I know Jiminy cricket. I know cricket wireless, and I know the crickets that we eat in Nigeria. But other than that, I don't know cricket. So, Ben, there are world competitions going on. The World Baseball Classic. Softball has international competitions like the World Cup. That happened. So it's gaining grounds, not just in the U.S., South America, North America, parts in Central America, as well as Asia. We got Korea and Japan that have baseball and softball. Europe as well is a growing, burgeoning. It's not just Americans living there that are playing it, Ben. Why am I defending it when it's you, Steve, who are going to beat up Ben with this? So here we go. We're going to have two back and forth. So Ben, you start. Why cricket is the sport to play, and why baseball shouldn't be played, and then we'll come back to Steve, and he can push you down, slap you up, and then talk about baseball, softball. So Ben, cricket, why? Who cares?
Okay, cricket, you can hit the ball anywhere, so you can go 360. But this baseball, softball seems to be one area. Seems quite predictable, and the score's pretty low. In cricket, you can have like 500 runs. Cricket, baseball, softball can. Great game. I don't know. Maybe you get 10, 15. I don't know. But cricket, you're getting hundreds of runs. There's different. I know cricket and baseball, softball is different innings, but I think there's just more jeopardy. There's different ways you can get out. I think watching baseball and softball for Brits is like, it's the same thing over and over again. You're just running around in a circle, going from bay to bay. So to watch it, it's quite hard. Like when I've played it, I will give you that. I enjoyed it more, but watching it, it's tough.
I don't know. I mean, all right. Well, Steve, give us your anti-cricket, pro baseball, softball.
Ooh, good question. Just specifically going off of the speed of softball and baseball. One caveat: I'm learning more about cricket than I ever have known in the past, especially with the upcoming Olympics and stuff like that. So I can't do a direct comparison, but I do know the 360 versus the 90. I would say it all goes into the challenge of the game, and the pitching is as much of the fun of it as is the offense and the big home runs. But going off of your topic, Ben, that is one thing that that Major League Baseball is working on is getting the average audience to appreciate it more, trying to brew up more offense and bring the game times down to a good level.
I don't know. I'm gonna say, Steve, because he was very complimentary to you. He didn't go on the attack. Ben, you were pretty negative against.
I said when I played it, I enjoyed it.
Okay.
Can I give me another chance? Give me another chance. Give me one more. Give me one more bat. Give me one more pitch. Give me a pitch.
No. Do you have something to say? I don't think so.
No, I mean, I was just going to say, I appreciate definitely Steve's, and I'm a learner here as well. I think our listeners will be learners as well. I think in terms of playing, I think I've enjoyed playing more than I have watching it. My thing is, quite, like you say, quite long, the baseball games. I know cricket can go on for 5 days, but I like having cricket on in the background where you can just kind of watch it. And it's one of them you can tune into a bit. You don't have to watch every bit. Yeah, and I think my thing is like just in terms of watching it, I've often seen people in the crowd more interested in like the hot dogs going around and different things and what's happening on the field. So it's like they have to set up all this entertainment and stuff because what's going on the pitch maybe isn't as fun as like end-to-end basketball or something else.
Talking
like
about cricket, Ben.
I know, but I'm just saying
what for Christmas the fans do when they go into the stadium or the grounds for watching cricket? Do they sit there with rapt just attention watching every single?
No, that's true. But you're right about that. Cricket etiquette. People can sit around and have a good conversation. You take the day off work, you go with your friends, you catch it up, you casually watch it. Is that the same with softball and baseball? Then is that what fans are doing? Are they just there to like eat hot dogs and drink sodas and then have one eye on the game and a home run and is that what it is or?
Ooh, great question. I would say from my side of things in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which is kind of the home of Wisconsin in general, is the home of the tailgate. So the party atmosphere and the socialization atmosphere is just as much of the game as a spectator going to the game. But even in the last couple of years, since my little rule changes of the speed of the game, I find it even tough to get up and go to the bathroom or get a hot dog during the game because you're going to miss something in the 3-hour game versus the 4+ hour game. So it's an exciting time, and you need to. I would be in the boat of you need to keep watching the whole time.
I honestly think I'm warm into this idea. I'm warm into this. I think with a good hot dog live, I would definitely enjoy it. But I think watching on TV, there's no hot dogs and there's other distractions, and I don't understand it. I think if I sat next to Kyle or yourself, I think with you explaining it, what's going on, I think I would have more of appreciation for it. Do you think that's what I need to do? I mean, just give it a chance, and the more I understand it, the more I'll want to watch it. Is that right?
I definitely think so. And one question I have for you, Ben, do the people sell hot dogs up and down the aisles during the game, or do you have to go and get your hot dog and come back?
Well, you've been in Aberdeen, and you'll know that if you go to watch sport, I mean, there's no one coming around with your hot dog, that's for sure. The Scots would definitely, try and maybe smuggle in some iron brew or whatever. But that doesn't happen. But if I think in Germany you can actually get like a sausage or a beer like to your seat in some stadiums, where you're sitting there and it comes directly to you. So I don't know if you guys have that in America, but right now in the UK we don't have that. You have to go and buy it, and they can be very expensive. So I don't know. I think I would like to see one in person, but I'm going to give it a try, Steve. I'm going to give it a try watching more because listening to you, you're pricking my interest a lot with just even explaining the balls and the different kind of shots. So I know that Kyle will probably say you won the battle, right, Kyle? But what do our listeners think? Should we put it to the listeners?
Let's put it in the chat. If you have a comment, whoever won, doesn't matter if you think I could even be in that competition, but Steve or Ben, just put it in the comments. Baseball, softball, or cricket, just put it in the comments, and we'll do a drawing for a shirt.
Just remember, though, we've already won. So whoever won the battle, we have already won.
Yes.
We were just having a bit of fun there. And I didn't mean to come off on the attack. I was trying to play the Brit who is passionate about it and thinks it's boring. But you did well there, Steve. You did well. But let's talk a little bit more. Yeah, go for it. What were you going to say?
No, last two things to wrap that up. And all around Major League Baseball, and even in the softball world, they come around with anything that you can dream of in the stadium that you would want to eat, and you can buy it from your seat as well as the drinks. So
they bring it to you, Ben. They bring it to you.
Yep. And then my other part, and you might lead into this, would be the up and coming popularity of softball and baseball in Europe and the UK. So that was a cool thing to experience this past summer.
For sure. Yeah, no, that sounds great. The food idea sounds amazing. So yeah, I think I can watch any sport with that kind of food anyway. So Yeah, which is great. Fantastic. Let's talk more specifically then about your coaching experience and stuff. You've coached, tell us, you've coached obviously at the highest level. and you've coached youth, you've coached students, and you've coached adults, right? And you coached all three. Question is around that: how do you differentiate between the ages as a coach?
The game is the same, no matter where you go. The knowledge and the fundamental abilities of the athlete is obviously the biggest thing. From the youth levels, just trying to teach the game and teach the love of the game is a big deal. From the college, university, um, and higher, where these athletes know what they're doing. They've been at the top of their game maybe for a while, whether they're coming out of high school as their top athlete on their team, and going to the university, or from the international level where they're the top in their country. It's something that it's very unique, but at the same time, realizing more over and over in experience that just a conversation about the pressure of the game and a conversation about what was going on in your head and asking more questions than maybe doing specifically pointed coaching in that moment, asking questions to try to get into the mind of the athlete, is invaluable, no matter what age you are. And I feel like I can be a resource for the gamut of ages that I'm coaching.
So you were also the Czech Republic's national on the coaching staff. How did that? I remember the before you went, we had a conversation about some options you have, and that was one of them. And
Yeah,
I mean, it was, so how did that come about? And I mean, did they just assume that Steve Czech was Czech? I mean, are you even Czech? We need to know. So how'd you get the job, and tell some experiences how you felt that internationally.
yeah, no, that was the whole experience was a wild one. I'll bring you through the timeline and then some of the experiences. But going into the turn of the last calendar year, I reached out to knowing that this past year was going to be a big one, from the international scape of softball and the World Cup internationally. I knew there was going to be softball happening all over the globe, at the highest level. Softball did not make it into softball and baseball did not make it into the last, or this upcoming Olympics. So the World Cup was and is currently the highest level of competition at the moment, coming back at the Los Angeles Olympics in 2028. So very excited about that. But sent some emails and kind of very cold blind emails to the contact information that I found for the different countries, and whether it was a head coach or somebody who maybe that I could find from a Twitter account that spoke English, or somebody that would just understand that I just was interested to come and help. So kind of put some feelers out there, and I very, very clearly know it was the God leading me to to what happened, because this doesn't just happen to the normal average person who sends an email. You end up in the other side of the globe. But the Czech Republic national team's head coach reached back out to me. His name is Vojta, and he said, yeah, I have no idea how you found me or why you reached out, but your last is that really your last name, or are you making this up? And like you just asked, do you have any Czech blood? And yes, basically was the answer that I got early on to come join them. So, but no, to answer that question, I don't have any Czech blood. It's just the last name. My wife has obviously the new last name of Czech, but she's got more Czech blood in her than I do. So there's nothing to go off there other than the last name. But I got a chance to, once I got the yes, I scheduled some flights and made a schedule, and we bounced back and forth to what the plan was going to be during my time there. I started in Prague with Prague Softball Week, where all of the teams from around the world came on to Prague to compete against each other in prep for the World Cup qualifiers that happened this past summer. I went from Prague to then there was a small break between the actual competition and the upcoming World Cup tournament. So I went over to Dublin, Ireland, and got a chance to experience softball in Dublin for the first time for many of the host countries, spectators' first time. Like you asked early, Ben, about is the ball a soft ball or is it a hard ball? One of the most fascinating things about being there was a foul ball was hit out of the fence into the crowd, and it was fascinating just to watch them look at the ball and like pass it around, like show and tell as a kid, like look at this thing. It's crazy. But the US was one of the teams that was competing for a qualifying spot in Dublin, so I knew that was going to be a blockbuster place to be to take in some of the best softball in the world. US is ranked number one. They battle with Japan between number one and number two in the world. So I knew that was going to be awesome. I got a chance to volunteer with the Ireland staff that were putting on the tournament. So got a chance to help build the field and build the fencing and build the branding and everything that was going into the showcase that was the spectacle of the sport during that time. And then so that my Prague experience was great, the Ireland experience was great, and then we went back and took a team bus from Prague straight south to the Venice area in Italy, where we played our final games of the summer against Japan, who ranked number one in the world, which was incredible, amongst a couple other countries, New Zealand, and just being able to play even more of the top competition before the Group C, the final grouping qualifier of the summer. So it was a 3-part summer with Prague, Ireland, and Italy. Got a little bit of spectator touristy stuff in there too, but it was all softball all the time, and it was awesome.
That sounds brilliant. I can imagine that's really enriched you as a coach, and I won't ask you to do an Irish accent. We've already butchered a Scottish accent on this podcast, so we won't offend any Irish people on there. But I love what you said before, Steve, around asking the right questions to your players, and that being something that you do. And you've had so much different experience as a coach, and as a Christian coach, I'm interested around, I'm sure listeners are as well. How do you bring your Christian faith into coaching? So we're all about this in Sports Friends, as training sports ministers. How do you bring your faith into the world of sport as a coach?
Good question. It's all about the relationships. Is the easy answer. I also think about the way that I present myself and the way that I speak to athletes and coaches. There are people who are very clearly either having a bad day or very clearly letting the impact of the crud that they're going through in life bleed through them into their coaching. I come at it. It's all ingrained into the same thing for me. And like one of the things I like to go on in my life is too short to have a bad day. So I'm going at it as if like I have to be the light for my team, wherever my team is at the moment, and bring the energy. It's softball. One of the biggest things I love about the women's softball game is the amount of energy that goes into the dugout, and the yelling and the cheering and the nonstop momentum that you can create just by using your voice and your energy. It's something that I bring to whatever dugout that I'm in. and then just solely the conversational piece and the relational piece of it's something that I'm still learning and still battling with. If I'm coming in tired to a practice or a game, make the adjustments to fake it until I make it, basically to be that person that can have the quality conversations, with the thought that we're going to have good conversations, and that will hopefully down the line lead to the trust that we can have a conversation about church or Jesus or family or something that breaks the ice, to go there.
Good to end on that. I think we appreciate your time, but maybe just tell us what you're doing, some things that are upcoming, maybe with the Carroll season, or any other international things on the horizon, and just kind of let us know what's going on.
Yeah. Very excited about everything that's upcoming in my world. The snow is continuing to melt outside, which we are just beginning our season indoors. Early morning practices before work starts. We'll start at either 5 or 6 a.m. in the university world for the first 5 weeks of practice, which is a lifestyle change for me and everybody else involved. But we do what we got to do. Then a week in sunny Florida for our spring break, where we play about half the games on our schedule over the course of a week, and live it up in the sun as much as we can. And then we'll come back and we'll play the second half of our season. All double headers we'll play when we travel or host, but we play about 20 more games once we come back into the April and May, and then we'll finish up with the end of the season early May, right around the time that the students and graduation happens for our senior class. So looking forward to that, and before you know it, it's going to be the middle of May. It's a blur and a blast.
Before you know
great. I tell you what, Steve, you've almost converted me. I'm intrigued. I'm on the way. So you've done a good job. But for people like myself who would love to follow a bit more, are you on any socials or anything? How can people follow your kind of coaching journey? I would like to know. Just you spark my interest. Where can people find you, follow you?
Yes, Coach Czech on all the socials, Twitter and Facebook. I try to post on Instagram, but that one gets a little bit not as much attention as the other one. But yes, follow Carroll Softball and Coach Czech on all those places, and hopefully we make the scoreboard exciting for all the viewers this year.
Go Pios. They're the pioneers. Right. My mom went to that university.
All right.
When it was still college, but yeah, go Pios.
You got it.
Pioneers. Love
there
it.
You go. Well, Steve, appreciate it. Thanks for joining us today. And I'm bringing Ben up to Wisconsin. We'll try to come by. His schedule's tight. His priorities are Bucks,
okay,
Brats, and then something else with the B.
And
but
Brewers. Yeah, that's good.
We'll get it in there.
All the B's. That's good.
Great. Thanks, Steve.
Guys.
Appreciate it.
Thanks so much for your time, Steve.
That was great. Steve Czech, assistant coach at Carroll University. Good friend, good guy. What do you think, Ben?
I enjoyed that a lot. I learned a lot, but I also think it was really good having someone who's coached at the highest level, national team. Steve Czech coaching the women's national Czech team. Awesome. And then he coaches at high level now at university, but then he's also coached all the way through. But as a teachable moment, we love to think about this. I love the things he was talking around. It's all about relationships, and he was talking about the right questions and asking those questions on and off the field. And I think, in our training, when we train our sports friends, coaches, we always say that an average coach will impact, the people they coach more than a normal person will in their lifetime. So that being that positive role model, the ability to speak into the lives. And, he mentioned about coaching some players for 8 weeks, or he's coached some for longer. And he's got this window where he can build those relationships. And that's an amazing thing and a unique opportunity as a Christian coach. So yeah, what about you? What do you take away from it as a teachable moment?
Yeah, no, just along those lines. I mean, he was saying that they're doing 5 a.m. practices. So to get a player up that early, a lot of players are on scholarship or they've been selected to play at the thing. So it's almost like a job. As a debate, a whole different debate around the, university students. Is this a job or is this something? So, getting to that level at university here, when you're playing, it's the next step to pros or international. So they're trying to do their best. So to make sure motivate to be a coach, especially a Christian coach on the pitch, the field, the diamond, as they call it in baseball, softball, making sure that they're motivated, making sure that they're encouraged, that they're taking care of themselves physically, socially, mentally, all this spiritually, just making sure your coach all around is hard and difficult to do. And I've talked to Steve about that. How can he can he say he's a Christian in the locker room? Can he, what's his level of that? And sometimes you can't, because it's a secular school or it's not a Christian thing. So you got to live it out by your actions, and encouragement. So it's great.
Awesome. Well, let's finish with some weekly Wildman words.
Like the jingle?
Here we go. I love the jingle. I went loving the jingle, just taking it to the next level. I was going to go with a quote, offense wins games, defense wins championships, but no, that's too cheesy. I'm going to go with a good coach can change a game, but a great coach can change a life. Who said that, Kyle? Famous American coach, Coach
Steve
John.
Czech.
Steve Czech did not say that, but he probably would agree with the quote. It was Coach John Wooden. Good coach can change a game, but a great coach can change your life. And I think Steve talked about there being a great coach, about, building relationships, asking the right questions, being sensitive to what God is leading him to do. I think a great coach is, we've had Steve Czech, we've had many great coaches, and some great wisdom there as well from Steve, and some awesome words from John Wooden there for us all to take on if we're a coach.
Wildman's Weekly Words. All right. I think that's it. That's this week in a can.
Do it. It's been great. A lot of fun. I've loved learning about those sports and being a learner in these podcasts. So hopefully listeners have stuck with us and learned something as well, whether you're an avid softball fan or whether you've never heard of it and have no idea like myself. And we look forward to another guest coming on next week on the Already Won podcast.
That's right. Tell your friends, tell your friends' friends, tell your parents' friends, tell the parents' friends of those parents. Just tell everyone to like, follow, and subscribe. Again, we're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on, Google Podcasts for not too much longer. But anywhere you listen, iHeartRadio, anything you listen to, and we'll give you the show you'll never forget. Who said that? I did, because you said it.
Awesome. We'll see you next time, guys. Hashtag Already Won.
Thanks again for joining us on Already Won, a Sports Friends podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe on your favorite streaming platform.